Okay, so we are going to take a look at how to find some good research information. Hopefully you've started. But what I have found in the past is that a lot of times students simply Google everything. You just Google, which, I mean, that's great, it's an easy way, but remember you need to test or check to make sure you are using credible sources. So you need to use the CRAC test. Remember that? Currency, right? Recency, how new is this information? Authority, in other words, what are the credentials of the people presenting this information? Okay, so a great place for you to start is on our webpage in the library section and look at the databases. So here is the main Wired page. And where you would go is over here to the library tab. It's on that last row. Let me get my mouse out there. So it's right there. And when you click into library, there's all kinds of resources. And if you scroll down, here are all the databases. There are lots and lots of them, right? A good place for you to start would be ProQuest Central. So it's right here. And the reason I recommend that one is because that's the largest database. I mean, literally it houses, I think, 41 or 42 other databases. So there is just a better chance for you to find something you want in ProQuest Central. Do you have to use that one? No, you do not. You can use any of them. So you just click into that right here on the green link. Now, the reason I encourage you to look at databases is number one, you are already halfway there for the CRAP test, and the fact that you are finding credible and sources with authority within the database, right? Databases get vetted. So this is just a really good way to find credible information. So we are in this is something new. I don't know what is up with the roll. We're just going to ignore that for now. But this is where we search for something that we want to find information on. Okay. So I'm just going to take one of the terms for topic, which is bipolar. Okay. And I'm just going to enter that in and we're going to see how many results I get from that. So as you can see, I get 766,000 articles related to bipolar. So what you want to do is you want to narrow that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and do advanced search. If I can find it. There it is, advanced search. And in the advanced search, it allows you to use Boolean operators and also to filter things to get a more narrow search. So we know we want bipolar. Do we want any other terms? I mean, what about bipolar are we looking at? Maybe bipolar and brain? Let's start there. So the Boolean operator is over here, and it's the Boolean operators are and or not. And means both of those terms are going to occur within your search right away, okay? The or means it's either going to find one or the other, okay? And then not means it will be bipolar, but not the brain. In other words, some other information about bipolar. I think for our purposes, we want both of those. And then over here, you can tell it where do you want it to search. And what I like to do is I go to the document title. Because if it's in the title, then usually that whole article is related to that. Does that make sense? It's not just a mention, it's the whole article. So I want both of those terms to appear in the title. And then it says publication date. I don't know that I want all dates. I want it to be fairly recent. So I am going to say within the last 3 years. And then I can select other ways to filter it, which is, oh, up here, full text or peer reviewed. Peer reviewed means it's highly credible. It's been reviewed by experts or experts are writing it, that kind of a thing. We can do peer reviewed if you want. And then you can choose what kind of documents, all that kind of stuff. I prefer to just leave it like that and see what my search turns up and then refine it after that. So I am going to go ahead and search. And we're going to see, take a look at this. We narrowed it down to 61 results. So 61 results is doable. We can surf through them, kind of look at them. That doesn't mean you're reading every single one entirety when you're just initially getting into your research. You're looking and kind of skimming to see, oh, yes, this is giving me information. And then you read it deeply and what the purpose of the reading that is to inform yourself. Does that make sense? So I'm going to just go through this a minute. So the first one is a scholarly journal. Oh, these are all scholarly. So this is vetted. They're all going to be credible, all that kind of stuff. And they're current because they're all within the last 3 years. So this first one, identifying key brain pathology in bipolar and unipolar depression using a region-specific brain aging trajectory. Now, I don't know if this is going to be useful to you. It depends on where your focus is going to be. But a couple of things that I like, identifying key brain pathology in bipolar, but it says bipolar depression. So that means it's going to be very specific to bipolar depression. So it may or may not be something you need. So this one, brain pattern in cognitively impaired elderly persons with bipolar. So again, this is very specific. It's going for elderly people only. But as you go through, you may find some that looks interesting that you say, oh, maybe I could learn something from that. So let's just pick one. The role of blood-brain barrier dysfunction in cognitive impairments and bipolar disorder, a narrative review. So at this point, you're going to go, you're like, oh, that's a maybe, that's a potential. And what I would recommend is you read the abstract. The abstract kind of is an overview of the article without having to read the whole article first. So the abstract is really good. And then if you're like, wow, there's some things in there that I need to learn about or that will really help me in my informing others, I can learn about, then you can do the full text. Now, the interesting thing on this one, if you pay attention, you can do a listen feature. So maybe you're like, ew, there's a lot of big $5 words. And if it's a medical thing, there are going to be very complex words in it. But an easier way to kind of understand it, a lot of times for me, is you click that listen button and it has a narrator and it will read it to you. Okay. I don't think they're on all articles, but they're on a lot of them. So always look for that feature. So as you're looking through it, determine, okay, do I want it? Do I not want it? Do I need to read the whole thing? That kind of a thing. And then there's this cool feature over on the right, and it says you can download it if you want. So you're like, okay, I found this one. It's got some stuff. I don't have time to read the whole thing now, but if you download it, it will save it to your computer, and then you can just open it and read it whenever you want. Does that make sense? And then you don't have to go back in and do another search to find that article. Okay. Another way is copy the URL. And then that URL will also take you to this article in future. Does that make sense? So it's up to you. I like to download because then the whole thing is right there for me. And I don't have to worry about going back and searching or trying to find the right article or rereading, trying to find it. So that's what I recommend for you to find some good articles. The trick in this is all about the searching, no surprise. Your search terms are gonna tell you or lead you either directly or not directly. So for example, you can see in our search, we have the bipolar up there. But another way to narrow the search is when you put things in quotation marks, it looks for that entire phrase together. So I'm gonna say brain oh no, let's go bipolar brain, that would be better. Okay, so now I put it in quotation marks, that means it's gonna look for that exact phrase. And see what we can come up with. So this narrowed it down to 15 results, okay? So again, you gotta go through, maybe open it and look at the abstract, like we talked about a second ago. For any that you think have potential. And when you read the abstract, you should be able to tell, oh yeah, this article is gonna have things I need, okay? So my strong recommendation to you is find your sources in the databases, because then you know they're credible, reliable, they've been vetted, all that kind of stuff. Are you allowed to Google? Yes, you are. However, make sure when you Google, you are doing the crap test and checking for all those things, currency, recency, how recent is that article, when was it updated, how recent is that website, when was it updated, all that kind of stuff. That's it. I just want to make sure I showed you those databases. Is there anything else you want me to talk about in relation to the actual essay? Once again, I have those resources on Moodle, and you can see all the resources that I'm providing for you. So for example, I do provide the CRAP test, currency, reliability, authority, purpose, point of view. I give you the instructions in that resource, so make sure you are following that structure and include those items in your essay. I provide you some videos, how to write an introduction, how to make an outline. Quite often that is the next stage, where you make an outline of what you're going to cover in your essay. So break it into your sections and, okay, what am I going to talk about in this section? What am I going to talk about? And just make notes to yourself. An outline does not need to be pages long, and you don't need to always write about a paragraph in each section, right? Usually a sentence, and the sentence would say what you're going to talk about in there. So for example, what did we use? Bipolar. Maybe in your outline, you have the introduction. And so maybe you'll have 1 or 2 lines of background of bipolar, and hook would be X amount of people suffer from bipolar, okay, a percentage or whatever, a statistic. And then you, of course, would have your thesis. And then in the other one, you do your next section. What are you gonna dedicate that section to? It might be this, what did we say, Raven? What did we say we were gonna do that first section on? I think you told me.
I wrote down in my notes. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I caught you off guard.
The effect that bipolar has on a person.
Okay. So, so in that, when you're doing your outline, the effects bipolar has on a person, and then maybe just list them. I don't know, lack of memory, dizziness, those kinds of things, right? And then you would
Okay.
build that section talking about those things, right? And then your outline of the second section. So what I'm trying to encourage you on is the outline is kind of like the bones of your essay, the skeleton. There's enough there that you can tell the shape of the essay of what you're gonna be writing about, but it's not the full essay with the meat and the muscle and all that kind of stuff on there, okay? Does that help a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, let me see if there's anything else with module 11 that I need to talk about. There is a conference sheet, however, I don't know if I'm gonna give you feedback on the conference sheet or if I'm going to give you feedback in audio. So, if I do give it to you in the sheet, the conference sheet, you simply look at that within your grading, open that up, and I will have made notes that I want you to address. And otherwise I will just do the audio like I've done prior. Are you both comfortable now with starting off and getting into it for the essays? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. Okay, that is all I have for you today. You are welcome to hang back, but I'm gonna stop recording. So let me do that really quickly.